Good afternoon. Welcome everyone for the today's session. And I'm very happy that we've been continuing this journey on our monthly session. This is our 77th session. Very thankful to the participants joining the session regularly. And as an endeavor, we are always looking at updating our finance professionals more on the GST updates, more on the technology updates. And today's session is on input tax credit. We all know input tax credit is a pretty simple concept per se. Every purchase, if it is for business, you get the credit, and subject to it not being blocked under 17(5). This is all we know about input tax credit, right? But as the time passed, department has also looked at the loopholes that were coming into the input tax credit. Today, my colleagues Jagdish and Ashika are going to walk us through various issues that are coming up because of input tax credit. Every notice that we get and we handle it, when it reaches the next stage of appeal, some or the other aspects of the input tax credit are further carried forward and could not be resolved at the proper office. Most of you would have been aware of the obvious issues could be 2A versus 3B or 2B versus 3B not matching, right? Or credit taken belatedly, 16(4) issues. Or the vendor registration is cancelled, hence we deny your input tax credit. These were the popular 3 issues that were coming up. But is that the alone? Is it the all? The answer is no. Today's session, we would be actually looking at different pressing issues. And why they are pressing issue? Because it needs to be attended immediately. Second, the restrictions which the department is putting, and especially that you need to be aware this GST is a technology driven law. You definitely need to be aware if by technology can the system has an ability to put a pause wherein you will not be able to take an input tax credit. How the system will automatically generate a demand and the recovery proceedings that would be initiated, we would be looking at it. That would be the first part of the session. The second part of the session, we would look various new Excel formulae, especially group by. This is something that has come up, and those who have been using Google Sheets, this is a very familiar formula because most Google Sheets are actually used by the programming team, and they don't use up the pivot formula. So group by was used heavily in a Google Sheet. This feature has come in Excel. Again, when I say Excel, original version of the Excel and the Office 365, you activate Insider, all the new functions would come up. So we would look at group by and the pivot by. I would recommend people pay attention and learn this formula. Again, another simple reason, there are many things in Excel can be done in alternative ways. Knowing them is very important. I don't need to prepare entire pivot table, drag, drop, and get some information. If I can just get a list of that by creating a simple group by function. So my colleague Delhi Babu would be walking us through both group by and pivot by function. As we look at those functions, we would also look at how do we extract a detailed daybook using a Power Query with the large set of data, both purchase details and sales details with a large set of data. How do we do it? These are the 2 things we would be looking at in the second half of the session. Some of the participants are joining. As they join, I welcome you all again. and wishing you a happy Holi. This session would be recorded. You will get a copy of the recording and copy of the presentation. At the end of the session, you'll be getting an email with the feedback, and the registered participants, once you submit your feedback, letting us know how the session went for you, what are the things that you are looking for upcoming sessions. It will be helpful for us. As you submit your feedback, you'll also get a link for downloading the material. This is all about introducing today's session, and I welcome you all, and at the same time welcome both Jagdish and Ashika to begin the session. Jagdish and Ashika, over to you.
I hope so screen is visible.
Yes.
So as Sir said, that today topics we are basically going to discuss about the issues in input tax credit, not the provisions in input tax credits. What are the issues which are cropping up in input tax credits, and how you should take care of the same, or what precaution you can take when you see that on a monthly basis and the one where the notices you have already received. Now, as we are standing on the March 24, another one financial year is going to end. With this financial year end, obviously we will be filing 99C, and again the due dates of notices and show cause notice will come into place. From last year, lot of SSE would have received the notices. That notices may not have confirmed into demand or may have confirmed into demand. But the major components are two only. One is outward tax liability and the second one is input tax credit. Most of us has received a notice basically on 2A versus 3B. Why those notices, though those notices are on summary level, don't discuss due to this discrepancy why we are liable to pay tax. But sometimes we receive a notices where it has been specified that these are the things has happened, that where your vendor is non-compliant. It may be a case, even though vendor has filed GSTR1, didn't file GSTR 3B. Your ITC claim in 3B is more than 2A. Then you may not have made payment to your supplier within 180 days. So multiple issues crop in. Retrospective cancellation of registration. So how you should deal with those issues, we will be discussing today. Now, why we say that it is important in input tax credit, why it is a pressing issue, the first thing we need to understand that. Now, it is important because over here, the burden of proof means owners to prove that ITC, which is availed by me in GSTR 3B, is an eligible ITC and it has been availed in accordance with the law. That onus has been given under the Act on the SSE. Now, this onus has only been given for the purpose of input tax credit. Apart from input tax credit, onus is on the department to prove that you are liable to pay tax. So if you receive any notice where they are saying, suppose based on audited balance sheet comparison, they notice that there is some other income showing in audited balance sheet. And they jumped into the issuance of show cause notice saying that as there is other income, you are liable to pay tax. In those circumstances, you don't need to immediately get into defense and say that no, that is not another income, this is what it is, it's not a supply. Instead of doing that, the approach should be, as I told, only on input tax credit you are liable to prove, but when it comes to other issue, it is on department. So you should question the officer that what is your basis of saying that I am liable to pay this tax. So instead of getting into defense and writing like that why I'm not liable to pay tax, it's better you should ask the officer why I am liable to pay tax. But when it comes to input tax credit and they issued you a notice, it's not the case every time onus is on you. The first onus is on the officer only to prove that that there has been an excess availment, irregular availment, wrong availment, or ineligible availment of ITC. Simply because there is a difference between 2A and 3B. It doesn't mean I have to prove that how I am eligible to claim the input tax credit, what I have reported in 3B is correct. First, they have to show that because of that difference, why there is a liability. Then only our defense comes into picture. But prima facie, as the onus is on us, but it's all depend upon how the notice is drafted. You have to prove that input tax credit, what you have claimed in 3B, is as per law. Another important thing is frequent changes. You will, in input tax credit, multiple changes has come into it. That first part, when we know reflection in 2A, which was not there, subsequently introduced, then changes made, then interest also, how it should be calculated. There was no provision. So lot of frequent changes has happened in input tax credit, making it more complicated, making it to be at the point, at the fingertip, so that you know what need to be done, which law, when it was prevailing, and what to be applied. Moving with this, we will get into the part of our issues. The issues, we are going to discuss few issues which are majorly noticed in the notices issued by the officer frequently in last year and the year which is going on. So based on that, we have picked up some of the issues and how you should approach those. Like we have took our issues like cancellation, recipient to act as a department officer. This is the way we have divided into 8 points. And in those 8 points, we will be discussing what is there and what should be done. So starting with the first part, issue 1, where there is a suspension and cancellation. Now, when we are talking about suspension and cancellation, the two things is important over here. First, I am talking from the point of view when your vendor registration has got cancelled. Now, if your vendor registration has got cancelled, it can get cancelled retrospective also, prospective also. Now, as you are dealing with that person, the data are duly reflecting in your GSTR 2B or as well GSTR 2A. So as it was duly reflected, you might have claimed those ITC. Now you are coming to know that officer has issued you a notice saying that it has been retrospective cancelled. You are not eligible for ITC of the same. Now they will not mention the word retrospective. What they will mention is registration has been cancelled. The first thing which you should do once you get this information is you should check from which date it got cancelled. One. Second, you should check what is the last GST return was filed by your vendor. Sometime it's happened that officer might have given you a notice for the month of suppose March 24. But in March 24, he is mentioning that this supplier registration has got cancelled, so I am going to disallow you the ITC. But you might have the transaction might have happened before March 24, and your supplier might have filed GSTR 1 and 3B of that month. So you have to check that if it is done, then officer can't deny you registration even on the basis of retrospective. Reason being, what will be the non-compliance he will say? Section 16(2), whatever it was said, you have complied with. That there is a payment of tax, you are in possession of invoice, you are in possession of goods or services, and you have filed the return. So there is no contravention and there is nothing the officer can do to deny you the ITC. So whenever any cancellation based ITC come, you should check that part. Second, when there is a prospective cancellation. Now there can be a case that you had a transaction and the registration has been cancelled before that transaction. Now, in that case, obviously, officer will say that payment to the government has not been made. So there is a contravention of 16(2)(c). Now, how should you proceed with that? Now, if that would be a situation, now you have a two option. One option, if that supplier is your regular supplier, From subsequent payment, you can deduct the GST component which you have paid to your supplier earlier, and any subsequent payment is there. So instead of reduce that extent of GST with interest which you will be liable to pay due to your non-compliance of your vendor, you can reduce that and then make payment to the vendor. One. Second, second option, if that supplier can now comply, pay the taxes with DRC 03. So you can show that DRC 03 he has discharged, and based on that you can claim the ITC. When none of the above is possible, the only option which is left is to say that due to supplier default, you should not be penalized. So it is a stabilized fact that you cannot be forced to do what is not possible for you. Because to each and every vendor, you can't go and say that, do file your GSTR1, show this transaction in GSTR1, file GSTR3B. You can't be giving those and keep checking on those vendors. So this is the way you should go ahead whenever a cancellation of GST registration happens. Now, this I talk from the point of view when your vendor registration got cancelled. Now, there may be a case where your registration got cancelled. Being an SSE, your registration has been cancelled. Now, what would happen? As your registration has been cancelled, whatever business will not stop, it will keep going on. So, whatever transaction been entered means whatever expenses you are incurring, there will be obviously outward for it. Now, as we are discussing for ITC part, I will limit myself to the inward transaction and expenses incurred by you. So, as the expenses which you have incurred during the time your registration was cancelled, obviously your vendor, while raising the invoice, will be showing GST amount, collecting the same, paying to the government. But the problem what it will be, as your registration is cancelled, same will not be reflecting in your GSTR2B. And it will not be reflected, reason being, while filing the transaction detail in GSTR1, vendor cannot give your GSTN number because it will every time will show not valid till the time it is restored. So ultimately, he will be forced to file it as a B2C transaction in GSTR1, which will not be reflecting until your registration is restored. So once your registration is restored, what you can do, you can write a letter or you can ask your supplier to amend those transactions and make it now B2B so that you can avail the ITC on the same. But there may be also a case, all this might procedure means the time you receive the cancellation, you went for restoration, it might take time more than 1 year also. Because if things were not taken in accordance to the law, means in accordance with the time limit, and even the department also sometimes take time to do the processing. So it may take more time which is required, and there may be a lapse in the time limit provided for availing the ITC. Now here comes litigation issue. As first, I will say you claim it, because when the outward supply which you have made during those period, officer is not going to leave the tax on the same. However, when it comes to input, just denying that due to non-filing of GSTR3B is incorrect. Availment of ITC is through GSTR3B itself is a disputable fact, because prior at the time when the GST was introduced, it was introduced with 3 forms, 1, 2, 3. GSTR1 for outward, 2 was for ITC availment, GSTR2, not A, B. GSTR2 was for ITC availment, and GSTR3 was your net return which need to be filed, which will capture your outward supply based on 1, inward based on 2, and will give you the net liability which is payable, which has got changed from 1st October 2022. Prior to 1st October 2022, it can't be said that ITC availment should be made through 3B. Though is an interpretational issue, lot of litigation is still going on, lot of writs has been filed to High Court. But it's our view that even though time limit has been left in case of restoration and all, you can still fight for the ITC, claim in 3B. Obviously, you have to go to long way only. Lower level officer will not be allowing it. But at a higher level, it may be considered at the time of High Court read. So this is, with this, we come to the part of our issue 1. Then moving to issue 2. Now, this issue 2, if you will see, the way we have written is recipient to act as a department officer. Now, why we are saying is most of the things have been shifted on the person who is claiming the ITC to see that their vendor have done the compliances. Like we discussed, that you have to make sure your vendor files GSTR 1, because if it is not auto-populated in GSTR 2B, you won't be getting the credit. Then one is ITC not restricted under section 38, which we'll be discussing in detail subsequently. 38, which is basically they have specified the numbers of cases where they are going to restrict the ITC through GSTR 2B, as of now still not implemented. And the third part, you have to make sure your vendor has paid the tax to the government. Now, as first part, we discuss about the ITC should be reflecting in 2B. And at the starting of the session, I said there are multiple things, multiple changes they have brought in, due to which input tax credit hold an important place under GST. Now, if you will see the time when they have introduced the GST, like I told that it was of matching concept, there were 3 written, 1, 2, 3. Now, after that, in August 18, they introduced the GSTR 2A. Now, the time when they introduced that in 2018, the only purpose was to facilitate the SSC to do the reconciliation. There was no intention of disallowing the ITC, and the said fact they have also clarified through press release. However, even though they have proceeded with the disallowance, multiple notices has been issued on this ground. Then on 9th October 2019, they came up with Rule 36.4, that classic additional 20%, 10%, 5% based on GSTR 2A. Then they introduced GSTR 2B on August 20. 2A was invoice based, 2B was filing period. Then in Jan 21, they amended the rules and they have recognized, because there was no provision by which they can disallow me ITC based on GSTR 2B. To recognize the GSTR 2B as a form, they have amended the Rule 60 and recognized there. Then in Jan 22, they came up with the sections giving the base to Rule 36.4, which talks about additional 20, 10, and 5%. That ITC will be allowed only when the same is reflecting in 2B. So if you will see, the introduction of reflection in 2B has happened in Jan 22. Prior to though, they have given forms, they have come up with rules, but there was no basis. So any of you who have received the notices of 2A versus 3B can fight on that fact. Like I said, instead of first defending that how I am eligible, how it should be reconciled, what is my only in books, what is I have claimed, you can first question the officer on what basis you concluded that as my 2A is lower than 3B, I have excess avail. Because from Jan 22, 2B has been made the priority. Prior to that, there was no provision for disallowance of ITC of it. Now, what we talk about it, for that also they came up with the circular, because multiple notice, huge revenue is there. So how to address that problem? Though Rule 36.4 was introduced, even before the section 2, they introduced the section in the Act, they came up with the circular trying to justify Rule 36.4. That is like 20%. So they came up with the circular 183, where they said, even though not reflecting, not a problem. You submit a declaration from the supplier that they have provided service to you and they have paid tax to the government. So it's a good circular, clarifying is a welcome one. But when it came to 1920, where Rule 36.4 was introduced from October 2019, now they are trying to implement that 20, 10, and 5% by way of circular. They are saying, though earlier I have allowed you straightforward for difference, you furnish me the supplier declaration or undertaking saying that they have provided the service and paid the tax. But in case where Rule 36.4 has come, then they are saying I will allow based on the additional 20%, 10%, and 5%. So if my earlier in 1819, if it was the situation, 10 lakh was showing in my 3B, 8 lakh you have availed, sorry, is showing in 2A. For 2 lakh difference, you can straightforward show the supplier declaration and it is done. But when it comes to 1920, let us take the example of 2021. So when it comes to 2021, then they are saying that I will allow you only to the extent of 10 or 5% was there. Let us assume 5%. So taking the previous example only, 3B is showing 10 lakh, 2A is showing 8 lakh. 2 lakh difference, for that you don't need to submit the supplier, and for that they will not give you the benefit. The 8 lakh into 5% extra, 40K, that is what they are going to provide you the benefit based on your supplier undertaking. So what about the differential 160? Do I need to pay? Is another question which is involved. But as I said, from Gen 22, section has come. So disallowance should not happen before Gen 22. But as of now, nothing has been come from High Court or any decision still not come, though multiple writs have been filed. So this is all on 2B. And this is example we have already did. Now restriction under section 138. Now they are planning to restrict certain type of transaction on which ITC they will not allow. As of now, it has not been implemented, though there is a section, but it has not come under rule that how they are going to do or how the same will be operate in GSTR 2B. So who will be the new supplier who have filed GSTR 1 but not filed 3B? Who have filed GSTR 1 but not filed 3B, there is a provision. Whose GSTR 1 is more than 3B, nothing has been come. ITC in 3B more than 2B, that also has not been implemented. Substantial tax discharge through ITC or any other class prescribed. So they have given the 6 category, but as of now, only one is operational where supplier filed GSTR 1, but 3B is not filed, for which we are going to discuss in our next slide. Now, where your supplier has filed GSTR 1, obviously it will be showing in that respective month. And based on GSTR 2B, you will claim the ITC. But if you will notice, as of now, GSTR 2B also showed 3B filing status. So there may be a case GSTR 1 is filed, 3B is not filed. So what they have said, if your supplier has not filed the 3B, then you are liable to reverse the ITC. But they have come up with certain cutoff date. So they are saying that you need to wait till next year, 30th September. Next year, 30th September. It may be noted that we as an SSC are allowed to do amendment till 30th November. But for this provision, the cutoff date is 30th September. So you have to make sure your vendor has filed the GSTR 3B of that month for which you have claimed the ITC before 30th September. If the vendor has filed, then it's okay. Even though you have claim in the month of April or May, June, whatever may be, you are not required to reverse. It's okay because your supplier has filed the GSTR 3B. Obviously, he will be filing with interest, no problem. But if your supplier has not filed GSTR 3B till 30th September, then you are liable to reverse the ITC which you have availed. And you are not only liable to reverse the ITC which you have availed, but you are also liable to pay interest on the same. But whenever your vendor file the GSTR 3B, then again you can re-avail. So this mechanism of payment of tax to the government by vendor is somehow similar to the payment to vendor within 180 days. But it need to be kept in mind, it is not payment to vendor within 180 days. This is payment of tax. Payment to vendor with 180 days is your compliance to make sure you make the payment within 180 days. But payment of tax and payment to vendor, somehow they have done on a same line. Like over here, they have allowed you to do re-availment once your supplier or vendor file the GSTR 3B. Similarly is the case when you make the payment to your vendor after 180 days, the ITC which you have reversed, you can re-avail. Now coming to issue 3. Now we have ended with the part where our registration had got cancelled, maybe retrospective, prospective, it may be of your vendor or it may be of you only. We completed the part where you have to act as a department. You have to make sure your vendor is compliant. You have to make sure he did what you have to do, like that he also does all the compliance under law. Now, another part which comes is belated filing of return. Again, belated filing of return will discuss this topic in dividing into two parts. One, when you have filed the belated return, and one where your vendor has filed the belated return. Now, when you have filed the belated return, 16(4), multiple cases, and we also know that Kerala High Court, Patna High Court have given their decision and all have come against the SSC. As of now on 16(4), no case has come where it has come in favor of the SSC. Now, in this regard, I would like to bring to your notice that you must have heard or listened to multiple people that they said about 16(2) about notwithstanding. So therefore, even though return is belatedly filed, you should be eligible for ITC. Now it's true. That is what it is, because 16(2)(d) also cover the fact return has to be furnished. Now, if the purpose was to file within the time limit, then it can be itself be covered in 16(2)(d). What's the need of writing furnishing of return and then saying in 16(4) it should be furnished within the time limit? Another thing is 16(4) section has got amended. Earlier, it was not based on filing. Now, after amendment, they have linked to the filing that you have to ensure that you avail the ITC before 30th November. So what this two change amendment says? So our opinion is that though there has been belated filing of return for the past period before amendment, before October 22, though there may be a belated filing of return doesn't mean I have availed the ITC belatedly, because even though ITC relate to March month, it been availed in March month, though filed in December. I have availed in March. And as I discussed previously, the concept of availment was through GSTR 2, not GSTR 3B. Though now everything they have based on GSTR 3B, and as of now, no discussion, no High Court as of now has discussed that that GSTR 2, which was prevailing before October 22, what's the impact of it? So even though there has been belated filing of return, our opinion is that it should be eligible. But however, after October 22, any returns, you have to make sure it's filed before 30th November in order to claim the ITC. Now, another part which may come is delay filing by the recipient. Now, there may be a case your 1 and 3B has been delay filed by the recipient, and on that basis also they are disallowing the ITC. Now, how delay filing of recipient can result into a denial of ITC itself is a question mark. Though GSTR 2B is auto-populating that this detail and putting it into 4D2 as a ineligible ITC. because compliances which are given is given as a recipient to comply, but due to supplier default, how recipient will be disallowed is nowhere discussed. It's time to see how those cases will be taken forward. Coming to issue 4, time limit for availment of ITC of tax paid under RCM. The moment anything comes in the notice that there is a liability under RCM, you are liable to pay, the first thing which click in the mind is it's a revenue neutral case, that whatever I am going to pay, I'm going to claim the ITC. So there is no loss to the government. But the thing is that what is the time limit for this? We read previously that there is a time limit to avail the ITC. Now, those availment of ITC, whether it does not include ITC of tax paid under RCM. Now, if we see, the ITC under RCM is allowed only when you paid the tax. It doesn't come before making the payment. So once you pay the tax, then only you are eligible to claim the ITC. So based on that payment, it is said that even though, because at that time you will be raising your self-tax invoice, and you will be making the payment. So you would be eligible to claim the ITC for the same. And from that date, your time limits will operate. Jagdish, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Let me share my screen just a second. Yeah. Hope my screen is visible to you.
Yeah, Jagdish.
Yeah. We'll discuss with the issue number 5. So coming to the Rule 41A, which talks about the ITC transfer from one GSTN to another GSTN within the state. Let's see what's the issue here. Rule 41A deals with transfer of unutilized ITC to the new registration within the state. If a registered person who has obtained the new registration under Rule 11 within the state and intends to transfer the input tax credit, which is remain unutilized in his ECL, electronic rate ledger, then he can transfer that ITC in proportion to the value of asset transferred to the new entity. That is the new registration. So this transfer has to happen within 30 days from the date of obtaining the new registration. For this, he has to file Form ITC 02A. What's the issue here? Here, it is talking about only the transfer of ITC within the state. You see, so it is there is no provision for transfer of ITC from one state to another state. So that's the issue. That's the unanswered issue here. So he can transfer the unutilized ITC to the new registration within the state. But if we obtain the new registration in other state, he cannot transfer the ITC interest rate. That's the unanswered issue. So coming to the next issue, issue number 6, how to deal with the constitution of a registered person on account of sale, merger, demerger, amalgamation, lease, or transfer. In all these cases, if you want to transfer if any unutilized ITC remains in the prior GST, that over GST, before changing the constitution, that we can transfer it by filing the ITC 02. So this we all know. So if the merger happened and I have filed my ITC 02, I have transferred my entire credit to the new registration. But still, there may be chances that some of my suppliers may still supply goods or services with the with the world GSTN. That is, So in that case, whether can I file the ITC 02 again? Already I filed the ITC 02, but some of my suppliers has filed with the old GSTM, and again the input tax credit I have obtained. So what about that ITC accrued after filing ITC 02? Whether I can file the ITC 02 again to transfer that ITC to the newly constituted business? Yes, the answer is yes. You can file the ITC 02 again. There is no restriction in the act, as well as there is no restriction in the portal. You can file ITC 02 as many times. So there is no restriction in transferring the ITC accrued even after filing the ITC 02. Yeah. Here also in both these cases, Rule 41 and Rule 41A, the transfer of ITC is in the ratio of the value of assets transferred to the new registration. Only in that proportion you can transfer the ITC. Now coming to the 7, ITC on employee related expenses. Yes. Section 17, subsection 5. We all know that Section 17, subsection 5 provides a list of blocked credit on which ITC cannot be availed. So we'll see the measure, the employee related expenses. If you see here, 17 subsection 5B, we see the list of services which are coming under the blocked credit. Food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment, health services, cosmetic and plastic surgery. If you see all these expenses, all these are in the nature of personal consumption. That's the reason GST has blocked the ITC on all these services. However, if you are into the same line of business, like I'm into the beauty treatment service and I have availed the beauty treatment services from the other professional. In that case, I can avail the ITC. Otherwise, you cannot avail the ITC in all these cases, as well as if you see a life or health insurance. This is also in the nature of personal consumption, and leasing, renting or hiring of motor vehicle. If you see 17.5 clause A, purchase of motor vehicle itself, they have blocked the credit. So even in case of leasing, renting or hiring of motor vehicle, in this case also, you cannot avail the ITC. Similarly, the membership of club, health and fitness center, travel benefits to employees. All these are in the nature of the personal consumption. That's the reason they have 7.5 have blocked the ITC. However, if we have provided any of this service under the obligation of any act, let's say if we have provided any catering services, I mean canteen services to the employees under the obligation of Factories Act. In Factories Act, there are more than 250 employees in a factory. Then the employer is mandatorily required to provide the canteen facility. In that case, you can avail the ITC because you are providing that service under the obligation of the Factories Act. So you can avail the ITC if you are providing any of this service under the obligation of any act, then you can avail the ITC. Otherwise, if you cannot avail the ITC on all these expenses. So we'll see what are all the issues in this. Provision of canteen facilities. If we have, can I avail the ITC on canteen facilities? The answer is no. And if I provide the canteen facility under the obligation of Factories Act, my employees are more than 250, and I'm mandatorily required to provide the canteen facility. In that case, I can avail the ITC. What about if I have recovered from the employee that whatever the service canteen service I'm providing to my employees, I have recovered from the employee. In that case, whether I can avail the ITC or not. So canteen facility is covered under the SAC 996331, which is chargeable at the rate of 5%. There is no restriction in the act, but there is a restriction in the rate. If you see the 9963 SAC explanatory notes, rate notification, sorry, November 2017 notification under 9963, the rate is 5%. The condition there is you cannot avail ITC if you charge 5%. So here there is no restriction in the act, but there is restriction in the rate notification. That's the reason we cannot avail the ITC on the canteen facilities. Okay. Ma'am, would you like to add anything here? Yeah, okay. And coming to the next, calendars, diaries, and Diwali's gift. 17 subsection 5 clauses clearly restricts the gift items. Gift is voluntarily providing the goods or services without any consideration. So this is also covers under the block trade. Similarly, gift vouchers to employees. And what about the uniforms, gloves that is consumables used in a factory or uh, and laptops and uniform? This is not the nowhere there is a restriction on uniforms and gloves consumables. Here also there is no restriction, and laptop. These are the fixed assets. There is no restriction on all this. You can avail the ITC. However, if you are providing exclusive exempted services, then you cannot avail the ITC on all this under section 17 subsection 2. So now coming to the next issue, ITC of corporate social responsibility. So earlier there is no restriction on availment of ITC on the corporate social responsibility expenditure, but from 1st April 2023 onwards, new entry clause FA has been inserted in the section 17 subsection 5. So as per this new entry, whatever the goods or services you have procured for providing the CSR activity, so you cannot avail the ITC on the with effective from, this is the prospective amendment. It is implement effective from the 1st April 2023. Then what about the ITC which has availed prior to the 1st April 2023? So whether the companies can take credit for procurement made until this provision is notified, it's a litigative one. So clarification is not that, in my view, you can avail the ITC. If the intention of the law is to restrict the ITC from the inception of the law, they would have provided with the retrospective amendment. But here it is a prospective amendment. So whether ITC, can I avail the ITC which was already reversed earlier now? So based on the time limit, if the time limit allowed you, you can avail the ITC on that. Ma'am, would you like to add anything here, ma'am? Okay. Okay. Moving on to the next issue. So now coming to the blocking and restriction. Rule 86A and Rule 86B. These are all the if we'll see first we'll see the blocking of credit ledger. In what cases credit ledger can be blocked? Recently, we have seen many cases that many of the taxpayers' credit ledgers are blocking without any prior information. So we'll see in what cases department can block our electronic credit ledger. So if we see the rule 86A, if the commissioner or the officer authorized by him have a reason to believe the credit of input tax credit has availed from the person who has found not non-existent, and without actual receipt of goods and services, he has issued the invoice and supplied the credit. That is the fake invoicing cases. So he has just issued the invoice without actual supplying of goods and services. In that case, and the tax surge in respect of which tax has not been remitted to the government. In that case also, they can block the credit ledger. And the registered person who is availing the input tax credit has found non-existent. And sub-rule here discuss about the supplier, and sub-rule C talks about the recipient. The recipient who has availed ITC had not found to be non-existent or had not to be conducted any business. So he is not operating, he is not doing any business, but he has availed the credit. In that case, also department can block the credit. And the registered person availing any credit of input tax is based on the non-possession of invoice. He had not having invoice, but he has availed the credit. In that case, also department can block the input tax. Sorry, electronic credit ledger, input tax credit in the ECL. So if you say rule 86A, sub rule 3 imposed the maximum restriction only up to the 1 year from the date of imposing such restriction. So they cannot impose restriction more than 1 year. After expiring of 1 year, they have to lift the blocking. So moving on to the next one, rule 86B, restriction on utilization of ITC in the electronic credit ledger. So what this rule is saying that where the value of taxable supply excluding exempt supply and zero rated supply exceeds 50 lakh rupees per month. In that case, you have to mandatorily pay the output tax liability of 1%, at least 1% in cash. However, there are exceptions provided in this. So, what are all the exceptions? If the said person, if the proprietor, Karta, managing director, or any of its two partners, the whole-time directors, members of managing committee of association, or board of trustees, other case may have paid more than 1 lakh rupee as income tax. In that case, this rule will not get applied. And also, the registered person has received a GST refund amount of more than 1 lakh rupees. In that case, also, this rule will not be applied. They can utilize 100% of ITC through in the electronic credit ledger. There is no restriction in utilization of ITC. And next case is the registered person who had discharged his liability towards output tax through electronic cash ledger for an amount which is in excess of 1% of the total on a cumulative basis. On cumulative basis means in the April, if I am in the September, on a cumulative basis, I have discharged my output tax liability in cash more than 1%. In that case also, I am not required to follow this rule. On cumulative basis, you have to check. And the registered person is the government department or the PSU public sector unit or the local authority or the statutory body. For all these persons also, this rule is not required to follow. Now moving on to the next, interest on wrong utilization. Yeah. Interest on, yeah. Yes. Interest on wrong utilization. So when interest will be levied, interest will be charged only when the ITC is wrongly availed and utilized. So as and when you avail the wrongly availed ITC, interest cannot be charged simply like that. Only when it is utilized, then only interest will be charged. So manner of calculation. Rule 88B provides for the manner of computation. So what it is saying, ITC wrongly availed is considered as utilized when the balance in the ECL falls below the amount of wrongly availed ITC. Let's take an example. I have availed the ITC of 100 as wrongly availed ITC, but I have always maintained my balance in the electronic credit ledger of let's say 150 rupees. So my wrongly availed credit is 100, but I am maintaining my balance in ECL as 150. In that case, it doesn't tantamount to that have utilized, because I'm maintaining the 150 rupees in the ECL. So what extent utilization? So the extent of utilization is equal to the amount by which balance in electronic credit ledger falls below the wrongly availed ITC. What it means? So after utilization, let's say in the previous example, I have taken 100 rupees as my wrongly availed credit. So after utilization, my balance in ECL falls to 80 rupees. From 150 to 80 rupees, it falls to 80 rupees. So what extent I have availed the wrongly availed ITC? So that difference amount, that 20 rupees is my wrongly availed credit, not the 100 rupees, because I'm maintaining 80 rupees in my electronic credit ledger. Okay. So what is the difference part we have to consider as a wrongly availed credit, and interest will be levied on the 20 rupees only, not on the entire 100 rupees. Okay. So what is the date of utilization of ITC? So in case liability is paying through the GST or return, that is the GST 3B, and due date of return or actual date of filing of return, whichever is earlier, should be considered. Whereas in all other cases, whenever the balance debit in the electronic rate ledger, that date you should consider for the computation of interest. We'll discuss this with small example. Yes, actually this example has provided by the circular 192. 192. We'll see here in this example, my wrongly utilized IGST credit is 70,000, but I have maintained in my electronic rate ledger I plus C plus S, that is IGST, CGST, and SGST. Cumulatively, I have maintained 75,000 in my electronic rate ledger. Okay. So in this case, I am not required to pay any interest because I am maintaining the balance in ECL more than the wrongly availed ITC. So that's the reason I'm not required to pay the interest on this. Coming to the example 2. My IGST wrongly utilization is 70,000, but my balance in ECL is only 50,000. So do I need to pay the interest on whole 70,000? The answer is no. The interest is payable only on 20,000, not on entire 70,000. So circular 192 has provided only the explanation for the IGST. Okay, we'll see what's the case with the CGST and SCST. So electronic credit ledger total balance lying as on date of reversal to be considered excluding cess balance. So for the purpose of this computation of interest, you should consider IGST, CGST, and the SCST. You should not consider the cess balance. These were the clarification provided by the circular 192. So coming to the what about the CGST and SCST? Okay, circular has given clarification about IGST. Then what about the CGST and SCST? If you see the circular 192, it has referred the rule 88B. What rule 88B is saying? It is following the set of principles. Okay. So if you follow the same thing to CGST and SCST also, you can for CGST you can avail the ITC of IGST and CGST. Similarly, for the SCST, you can avail the ITC of IGST and SCST. Okay. So if you follow this set of rules, if I have, let's take the example here also. I have availed the CGST of 50 rupees as wrongly availed ITC, and cumulative of IGST plus CGST is more than 50 rupees. In this case, I am not required to pay the interest. Similarly, with the case of the SCST also. So here IGST, you don't have any balance in IGST and CGST, but we had a balance of SCST. Here SGST of 100 rupees. You don't have any IGST, CGST balance. In that case, you need to pay the interest on CGST because to pay off the CGST, you don't have any balance in the electronic rate ledger. So that's all about the interest computation, method of interest computation. Hope it is clear. Any doubts on this interest computation? Okay. Okay. Moving on to the next one, demand and recovery. So I'm not going into depth about the demand and recovery. I will touch upon the main issues and the time limits and the quantum of penalties. All that I will cover in this. So now coming to the demand and recovery. So what are all the cases where demand order will be passed? So demand starts with the issue of the shock-out notice. So in what cases proceedings can be initiated? We'll see. Where the input tax credit has been wrongly availed or utilized, or input tax credit claimed in excess of his entitlement. Okay. And then if it takes or utilizes input tax credit without actual receipt of goods or services, that is a fake input, or either a fully or partially in contravention of the provisions of the Act, or takes the ITC or distribute the ITC in contravention of the Section 20. Okay. In all these cases, proceedings can be issued. So in what are all the sections deal with demand and recovery? We'll see. Section 73, 74 deals with the sure. At what time, in case of the fraud or willful misstatement, suppression of the facts, in that case, notice will be issued under section 74. That is the fraud cases. In non-fraud cases, proceedings shall be initiated under section 73. Fraud 74, non-fraud cases 73. So the proceedings, time limits, quantum of penalties, all are different for both the sections. 73 and 74. 73 is non-fraud and 74 is the fraud cases. Okay. Generally, department is issue all the notices under section 74 only because of the time period, and also the penalties are used under section 74. So and proceedings can also issue any person who retains the benefit or who aids, that is who helps or abets any of the offences stated above. In this case also proceedings can be issued. Interest can be charged only when the ITC is availed and utilized. This we already discussed in the previous slides. So moving on to the next, the time limits. What are all the time limits to issue notice under 73 and 74? So the time limit prescribed under section 73 is, so show-cause note, there is no time limit to issue the show-cause notice, but to pass an order, they have prescribed the time limit. So what is the time limit under section 73? Under section 73, order has to be issued within 3 years, and whereas under section 74, order has to be issued within the 5 years. From where? From the due date of filing annual return. So in order to issue the order, pass an order, in case of section 73, that is non-fraud cases, at least 3 months before, notice has to be issued under section 73. Okay. Whereas in case of section 74, at least 6 months prior to passing the order, notice has to be issued under section 74. So I'm summarizing it. Under section 73, order has to be issued within the 3 years, whereas 74, order has to be issued within the 5 years. To issue an orders, they have to issue the show-cause notice, right? So in case of section 73, they have to issue an notice at least 3 months prior to passing an order. Whereas for the 74, they have to issue the show-cause notice at least 6 months prior to the order. So if you see the time limit for the 1718, they have extended, these are the extended time limits. Initially, the time limit is up to 6/7/2023, but later they have extended. The extended time period is 30th September 2023. Sorry, time limit for passing an order is 31st December 2023. So 3 months prior is 30th September, right? So that's the reason the time limit to issue the show-cause notice under 73 is 30th September 2023. Similarly, with the case of section 74, 6 months prior, time limit to pass an order under section 74 is expiring on 20th Feb 2025, and 6 months prior to that is 31/8/2024. Similar with the case of 1819, 1920, 2021. As of now, they have extended the time limit to pass an order only under section 73. That is that also for only for the 1718, 1819, and 1920. They have extended the time periods only for the section 73. They have not extended the time period for the section 74. So now coming to the quantum of the penalty. As I earlier said, 73 is the non-fraud cases and 74 is the fraud cases. What is the quantum of penalty in this case, in both these sections? If I pay the tax along with the interest or on or before, so on within 30 days of the show-cause notice, and then there will be no penalty. If the OIO is passed, order in original has passed, I pay the tax along with the interest. The maximum penalty in that case is 10% or 10,000. That is, if I pay my tax along with the interest after 30 days of a notice under section 73, the maximum penalty is 10% of the tax, only the tax, or 10,000. That's the maximum penalty. Now coming to the fraud cases, that is section 74. If I pay my tax along with interest on or before issue of show-cause notice, then I need to pay the 15% penalty of tax. So if I pay my tax and interest within 30 days of notice under section 74, then I need to pay the penalty of 25% of the tax. And within 30 days of communication, if I pay my tax and interest within 30 days of communication of order and original, then the penalty will be 50%. This is the quantum of the penalty. So what are the time limits? Time limits we'll see now. I have collected the tax with, but not remitted to the government. In this case, what is the time limit? Earlier for the 73 and 74, there is a time limit, right? But in this case, I have collected but not remitted to the government. There is a no time limit for this. They can issue show-cause notice after n number of years also. So, but they should pass an order within 1 year from the show-cause notice. In this case, the penalty is 100%, whereas in the 74 it is 50%, whereas in 73 it is 10%, whereas under section 76 the penalty here is 100%, and the interest is 18% from the date of collection till the payment of date. So, what is the time limit for payment of amount after passing an order? After passing an order, payment has to be made within 3 months from the date of the order. Otherwise, recovery shall be initiated. If you have filed any appeal, then the proceedings will get stayed. Otherwise, recovery proceedings will be initiated. So whether installment facility available? Yes, you have to make an application to the commissioner. The commissioner satisfied, he can give the installments. Whether it is an interest free, the answer is no. You have to, it is subject to the payment of the interest. If you have not paid any of the installment, then the entire outstanding will become due as a date of default. So what is the case? Actually, my liability is IGST, but I have paid CGST and SGST. So how to treat this? Actually, my in the vice versa case, actually my liability is SGST and CGST, but I have paid the IGST. In this case, what is the resolution for this? So in this, pay the actual liability. Your liability is the IGST, right? Pay that IGST liability and claim the CGST, SGST as refund. Similarly, with the case of other case also. What about the interest? Section 77 clearly provides that in these cases, there will be no interest. Interest will not be recovered in these cases. So yeah, just a second, one question is there. Yeah, any questions on this? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Coming to the next slide. Any questions? You can post your questions in the chat box, or else you can unmute your mic and ask any questions, any doubts on this. Ashka ma'am, would you like to add anything here? Venu sir, hope you are in the.
Yeah, nothing from my side, unless if
Yeah.
there is any question to the participants.
I see no questions in the chat box.
Yeah, I guess most of you are clear with the provisions, and maybe look at from the perspective if you have received a notice and you are anticipating a discrepancy in the returns that you have filed vis-a-vis with the books, and how do you want it to be handled? If anything of that, please put the question in the chat. We are here, the team is there some more time, they would be handling it. If nothing, I think we can move to the next part of the session. Ashika and
Venus, Venu sir, Rakib here. I have a query.
Yes, yes.
Sir, in one of our client case, in the December we have received one notice. It is not a show cause notice, it's just normal kind of information saying that the client has availed the ITC and the supplier through he has filed all the returns, but he found to be not available. And the supplier's registration is cancelled with retrospective effect. For that, we have given reply saying that it is, the material has been supplied and we have the valid invoice, and the same is reflected in 2B also. And we have given the supportings of payments also.
Okay.
But the officer is not accepted, and without giving any intimation, 2 days back he has blocked out the input credit.
Okay.
And he has not given any show cause notice or any intimation. So, what is the remedy we have? Like, even if you want to go to appeal, even we don't have any order, assessment order to go for the appeal. Is there any
Good.
remedy?
Yeah. Ashika, would you like to go?
Yes, sir. So first
Yeah.
thing, which year it's related?
It is related to 21, like it is from October 21 to July 22, the transactions are for
Okay.
those.
Now, your vendor registration got cancelled on which date? From when?
From the retrospective effect, they are showing from September 2021.
Okay. And the return which has been showing vendor last file return is 1 and 3B?
1 and 3B, it is probably up to August 22.
Sir, you don't know, you can check in search taxpayer. If you will go over there,
Okay.
you can see which is the last return filed by your vendor. You can check from there, GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. So first thing,
Okay.
we suggest you to do that. From such taxpayer, check this. Now, as
Okay.
you're saying about retrospective cancellation, and you said about goods, means as it is a good industry, it will be easy to prove. Why? Because movement of goods can be easily proved by way of transportation, e-way bills, all those expenses you must have. Transportation charges will be there. You would be
Yes.
having e-way bill to prove the movement of goods. GRN will be there, inwards RAM.
Yes,
That also
we
you
have
have.
all those documents.
Now,
Yes.
sir, you said one more thing, that what he has issued cannot be also classified as notice.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the thing is that your officer has now blocked the credit. Like Jagdish has discussed, which are the circumstances when the blocking of credit can happen. Your circumstance is not falling in any of it. Did your vendor run away here, or is it still existing? That is traceable, that supplier, or
No,
not?
he's not traceable now. He's not
Oh,
traceable.
okay, he's not traceable now. Okay, fine. If it is a genuine transaction and still based on that notice, he doesn't have power to block your credit. But to get it unblocked, now you have to write it to the commissioner.
Okay.
Below that officer, have you talked to AC, assistant commissioner?
No, I have not to talk to AC, but I have talked to superintendent below the AC.
Okay.
And we got a message of blocking the credit, and we got the mail also. Just I have also told him that at least to give us the assessment order, the reason why you have blocked it, so that we can move, we can assess further what we can have the other remedies.
Okay, so
But he is not responding.
over here,
Even
first thing, you can check the taxpayer, what is the fine. It is showing on the portal, one. Second, if you have all the documents, you can take all those documents with the notice issued by the officer to the AC. First, talk to him. If it is not done, then you can talk to commissioner. And after that, it is also not done, then your last option is to go to High Court.
Okay, it is like writ petition.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you can prove the genuineness and every document is there, it will get unblocked.
No, we have already submitted. Like I said, we have received that notice in the month of December. For the reply, we have submitted like e-way bills and original invoices. and the payment to the particular party like bank statements. And we have also submitted the inventory statement where we have received the goods and we have sold the goods for the particular year. And at that time, is okay, the officer is satisfied. But suddenly, maybe they are saying that from from top end they have got the information to block all the credits. Because of that, they have blocked it. So I said at least you should have given a show cause notice, or at least you have given some timers to prove again. But he has blocked it suddenly.
You are correct, sir. But the problem is what I'm saying is practically, then if you want to get it unblock and address, you have to refer to commissioner or you have to go to
Commissioner.
High Court. Even
Okay,
if we say
got it.
about show cause notice and all, you can write a letter marking to AC, making CC to commissioner. In that way, he will feel that letter has also been going to commissioner, and you
Okay.
can wait how he react. He don't have
Okay.
power to do like that. But as you are saying, like Jagdish was discussing about the non-existence of the supplier, and your case is falling, so he has the power to block then. But you can prove your genuineness and you can approach in
At
this.
least what I'm thinking, that at least we should have the opportunity to go further to fight for this. To at least
I
if you
understand legally, if he is not doing anything, the only option, see, verbal communication is something else. And while writing, it is best option. You should write all what has happened, send the letter to AC, mark CC to commissioner. You will get the reaction. If you don't get, then submit it to commissioner. Then even if it is not getting resorted out, last option is High Court. Means nothing else can be done then.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, just I want to add a couple of points here for the benefit of everyone. So as Rakib ji mentioned that he did not get the show cause notice, he got one letter. So as a taxpayer, though you are very like honest and more dutiful and you have submitted all the information, you also have a right to ask every question when it is not as per the law. Right now, if the superintendent or the inspector or anyone who has blocked the credit, and very clearly Jagdish has given the steps and instances where the credit ledger gets blocked. Of course, unblocking power is with the same officer, but they got to do everything dutifully. And as Ashika rightly mentioned, you got to reach your voice to the next level, highest level. So the letter to Assistant Commissioner seeking reasons for blocking in spite of the information being given. Second, bringing the attention to Commissioner, asking for that, like, why this is blocked. Of course, High Court is the only resolution if someone is using excessive jurisdictional power and doing things beyond what the power they have. The only resort is going to the High Court and seeking a relief, because this is affecting Article 19 of the Constitution. Your ability to do business is directly interfered. So you can always approach the High Court. But even before that, you always have to exhaust the options that you have, which is questioning the question, asking this letter under which authority. Second, bringing it notice to the higher officials. Parallelly doing an appeal filing, because this is a decision that has already been taken by the officer. I think this is how your approach should be.
Okay, sure, got it.
Any other questions? All right.
We will. Yes, I'm ready. Please allow me to share my screen.
Yeah. So we will move to the next part of the session, which is on the technical side of our. So from moving from technical GST to technical side of that, which is Excel. And I recommend everyone to explore as the session is happening, how you can use this. In fact, I would rate this as the most important part of the discussion for today, wherein you can simplify your day-to-day mundane activities, where you are reporting to the management, where your job is to share some information to colleagues and other things. How you can automate that is what we'll be discussing. Over to you, Babu.
Thank you, sir. Hi, all. Good evening. I think there is a beautiful session, the first session done by both of the persons. It is very, very useful topic, the GST session. Yeah, anyhow, the second session is very, very important section and useful section. These are all the topics are completely new topics. Maybe very few persons know about these new functions. Still, it is in Office 365 inserted channel only. These are all the functions, very, very powerful functions and useful functions. The Excel function today, the second topic, I'm going to cover Excel new formulas and tally integration with large data with Power Query. It will integrate with Excel. You can extract daybook, sales, purchase. Today, I'm going to show 3 reports only, but you can extract any report. You can construct based on your requirement, and you can extract to Excel. This is very powerful tool. The Power Query. You can extract any data. Click of the refresh button. Okay, the first topic in the second session, the Excel new formulas, the group by and pivot by. These two are new launched formulas by Windows. They released in Office 365 inserted channel. Again, I'm mentioning you can't see in your local general Excel 2016 or 13 and 14, 19. It is in Office 365 inserted channel. Then another new interesting functions is available in Excel add-ins. Maybe most of the persons don't know there are many extensions in Excel. Based on your requirement, you can download and you can utilize that extensions. This is maybe all of you know ChatGPT. It is just a simple one extension of ChatGPT for Excel. I'll show you how to download and install. It is available in store. If you install, there are around 7 to 8 functions they release. That is very beautiful functions. It will save most of the time to write your content, or if you want to extract some, if you want to work on more data, there are many useful things. I'll show you one by one how that will help us on our regular day-to-day activities. Okay, first I start with AA only, AA function, then I'll go to group by and power by. Give me a second. See, in your Excel, you can able to see in home tab or insert tab somewhere based on your Excel versions, they will provide that option, add-on options. From add-on there, you can get more add-ons. Stores. Here you can search ChatGPT for Excel. So this is the extension. Just if you add it, it will come and add into your ribbon. Just click on it. You can able to see there are many examples. If you want to go with these examples also, it will redirect to YouTube. You can get that examples from here. This is how you can install. Again, I'm going to show you from home, add-ins, more stores, search ChatGPT for Excel. Once you add it to your Excel, you will be able to see the functions starting with AI dot. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 functions are there. Okay. Maybe now everyone is using ChatGPT for their day-to-day activities for development or email writing or content writing, presentation preparation. There are many things you can use the ChatGPT. But based on that, they created few functions. This will help us to reduce our time to prepare your data or clean up your data. Or if you want to create some samples, you can create easily samples. The first function I'll show you AI.ask. How it will work. In ChatGPT, you can ask anything, it will give some answers. Suppose if you want to ask here, just within double quote, you can ask capital of India. Just it will give you a small answer, New Delhi. Or you can type something else here, right? mail to send status to my manager. Just a simple some contents we add some content. This is complete. This is something is completed. But I'll show you how it will be. The result will come. That will give you very beautiful result. You can type simple content, simple words that will give you beautiful content and paragraphs and including subjects and signatures. Completed documentation work. I'm just telling about my small project status to my manager. Completed design. I'm just giving some spelling mistakes also. Completed flow charts. Next week we are starting development work. Now you can use AI.ask function directly. You can load that as a function that will return very beautiful body of the mail and subject. See, here it is written. Okay, I'll copy it to notepad. See how it is. I given a very simple content here. That is also you can see it is relevant matter. Maybe you can't type this way in your body of the mail. You can't send this way to your manager. But if you are giving small information to ChatGPT, it is writing with beautiful format and professional format. It is giving with professional format. So it is giving automatically subject how you want to write. Most of the time, freshers they don't know how to write email also. Then see the body of the mail also it is written very beautifully and also it is giving signature. Clearly, it is mentioning the status. This is how you can use the ask function. Suppose instead of this, you want to get city names of India, right? It will refresh automatically here. There is a function. See, it is already written. See, I'll copy to notepad. See, it is given top 10 city names. If you want to ask, you can ask one more time. It will give you all list of city names. This is how the function AI ask will work. You can ask whatever you want. It will give you the result. Okay. Any doubts on it? After this function, adding extension or using the first function AI. Okay. The next function fill. I'll insert one more sheet. See here, I'll take the state names only. Otherwise, I'll take country. City name, currency. Now I want to fetch for all the country names. Maybe you can ask again AI to get list of country names. Here it has given some list of names. See here, I'm just using to fill state country-wise state names and currency names using a dot fill. I'll show you first that example. You have to give example. This is the example: the country name India, city name Delhi, currency INR. For this, I want to get the similar kind of names. It is giving city names and currency names. Automatically, it is filling. This is how the AI fill will work. Okay. Then the beautiful function extract. I'll take some example data. I'll show you. See here, I want to extract email. See, the email ID is in somewhere, see, from here to here. This is email ID. From here also, if you see, this is also email ID. It is not in proper format. Suppose if you want, you can use the default fill function, flash fill function. Sorry, the flash fill function will work. You just copy and control, you press C, it will fill that information. But here the format is different. It is not in proper format, at least not understanding format. That is why it is not getting proper email address. But if you use this AA dot extract, see, this is my data. From here, I want to extract email ID. That will understand automatically email, that will get and extract email ID from that particular data. This is how that extract function will work. Suppose if you want to extract, instead of email ID, there are some names. Okay. Chicago, city names. Okay, we'll extract city names. New York, Chicago, some other city names, it is automatically it is extracting. This is how dynamically it will extract that requirement names. Until here, any doubts? A dot ask, A dot fill, A dot extract. Okay, no worry. A dot list. This is also similar to A dot ask. A dot ask, that function will return any result as paragraph format. But this A dot list will give you in row by row. It will insert row by row. Suppose if you ask state names or country names, it will give you as a list. List top 10. List. It is giving top 10 country names as a list. That is a small difference. Suppose same thing if you ask to AI dot ask, see it is giving in like paragraph format. Again, you will have to do small formatting activity. That is why initially I copied and pasted into Notepad to show you. But if you use this function, list function, it will give you as a list. That is based on your requirement. You can use this function. Then there is very beautiful function a.table. I'll show you. For example, if I want to create this kind of table, I'm just copying it. Generate 20 product dot table. Want to generate 20 products within this format. It will give you some sample data below this headers. See how it will redirect the values. So beautiful, this is sample data. Now we can work on this data to show you on some group by, pivot by. Maybe we can extract some samples using this way. Or if you want to extract real-time data, suppose country, okay, we'll see that way also. Country name, region, city, population. Table. It is automatically fetching and giving the result. See, I didn't tell that there is automatically recognizing the columns also, and also it is filling information. Country name, region, city, and population. This is how AI.table will work. Another beautiful and interesting function, translate. Okay, just going to insert. One more big advantage is these are all available in Excel. Maybe whatever you are using in day-to-day your activities, data cleaning, or in something you are creating any dynamic tables, you can use this one. And also these very powerful functions. There is no performance issue also. Okay, AI dot translate. How it will work? You can translate. Okay, first thing we'll get some data. Then you can translate to any languages, the known languages. Okay, first I'll get some data. Okay, right about Mysuru in 300 words. By default, it will write in English. Then we can translate to Kannada, Hindi, English, Spanish, any language you can translate and you can read it. It is giving some data. Okay, now I'll translate to Kannada. A dot translate. This is my value. This is language. It will take maximum 10 to 20 seconds and it will give you in Kannada language. Suppose if you are communicating with different languages persons, if you want to communicate in their language, you can use this function. Or if you want to understand some other unknown languages, you can translate your language using Excel function. You can read it. Taking bit more than 10-15 seconds. Let it be. Yes. Translated to Kannada. Here there is word generator. Instead of 300 characters, I'll put into 100 words. It is refreshing. Maybe if you see here that function, yeah, it's refreshed. Suppose if you want to translate to Telugu, just you type that language name, it will translate automatically. For refreshing, it is taking maximum 10 to 15 seconds. Sometimes it takes a minute also. Okay. Okay, this is how it will work. Until AI functions, any doubts, any clarifications is required, then I'll go into Office 365 inbuilt functions, group by and pivot by. These two are very, very, very useful. This is recently launched functions. Okay, done. Now I'm going to move to group by function. I'm going to copy some sample data. Otherwise, if you want to ask me to create some sample data here itself, we can create. It's not a big job. We can easily create. See, first date, then location, salesman, sales, product, sales. Okay, now if you want to generate some random dates, there are many ways we can generate, but I have one small tool. Quickly and generate on 20 days. I will take from 22 January to March. See, it's generated 20 dates automatically. Just sample data. Location. Okay, what we can do, we'll extract. We'll ask AI tool list top 5 from India. There are 5 names. So if I want to fill in this location, there are many ways again. I'm just using one small tool. So it is filling. location names randomly. Again, sales names here, top 5 of India. It generated some random names. Martin. Oh, globally. Yeah, if I take globally, then it will come different names. Okay, now sales. Simply we generated on sample data. We'll work on it for group by and pivot by functions. Is my voice is audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Group by. Again, I'm mentioning you this group by and pivot by is recently launched by Windows Office 365 Insider channel. It is available only in Office Insider channel. This is very powerful function. It will work as pivot table. It is a dynamic one. We'll see one by one how it will help for our day-to-day activities. Okay, in group by function, there are multiple arguments. The mandatory arguments, these are all the arguments. The row fields, value, this we called as an arguments. This is function. Group by is a function, these are all arguments. The first argument, row fields, values, functions. The square bracket fields are there, some arguments are there, that is are optional arguments. We'll see how that also will help for our day-to-day activities. The first thing here, I want to summarize location-wise sales. Just very simple task. Okay, before that we'll convert it to table. That is very, you create that way, that will help a lot. Okay. Otherwise, if you insert any data, it won't add into your data. Okay. Group. The first, our target is to generate location by sales. Maybe we can apply pivot, just drag it that. Okay, first I'll show you through pivot only. The shortcut alt DP, otherwise insert, go to pivot tables. Here location. This rows, you can put rows here and sales. Simply you can get the summary value, but it's not dynamic. Whenever the data will come out, you will have to go and refresh your pivots. But if you use similar group by function, it will automatically update. It is like your form. This is completely formula. Location. This is my row data. Then values, sales data, function. Here there are multiple functions. You can use these functions. Sum. Here I want to sum these values. Then there are multiple arguments it is enabling. Currently, I'm not going to use that optional fields. I'm just using mandatory fields. The first mandatory is row fields. Second is value. In row, I just loaded a location column. In value argument, I loaded sales. Then in function, I want to sum it. I'm just using sum formula. See, it is coming beautifully with summarized value. For formatting, you can use the regular method only. It will format. So it is adding totals also. But if you see here, titles are not coming automatically, location and amount. You can add that one also using that optional arguments. The square bracket in any formula, if you see the square bracket arguments, that is completely optional arguments. Okay, see here there are 4 options. If you want to go with headers, you need to use S and show. See here, headers are not selected, that is why it is not taken, it's taking the first one. We'll select headers also. Whenever we select table, we have to select so, okay. The second value argument sales. Now see that the heading is coming automatically. Totals also is coming automatically. Okay, this is how the basic function work. Now we'll apply more logics to group by functions. We can see how we can add subtotals, grand totals, multiple columns. How we can see in pivot, there are multiple options, right? In pivot, similar thing we can do here also. Okay, here now I'll update location and salesman. Want to group by location and salesman. I will take only data. I don't want to take. Then the function sum. The next argument it is asking field headers. Now we are not going to use this field headers. We just will skip it. Then again it is asking total depth. You want to update grand totals and subtotals? Yes. We'll take that one as a number 2. Then short and filter, that we'll see next thing. Salesman and sales amount. It is coming grand totals. Total Bangalore is the sales, total Chennai is the sales, Delhi is the sales. Automatically it is inserting subtotals also. Say for Mumbai. Then finally grand total. Clear? Dynamically, if you change anything inside the data, maybe we'll go for where is Bangalore. Here Vikram and Bangalore. We'll change this as a 2,50,000 rupees. Directly I'm updating. See, it is automatically updating. Otherwise, in pivot, you'll have to refresh. But there is no big difference. You can use pivots also. Here, if you want to use formulas also, you can use. But this is more powerful, and you can apply these formulas on larger data also. Then there are some another 2 optional arguments. We'll see how to sort based on the value. See, for Bangalore, it is coming in ascending order. We'll change it to descending order. 1, 2, 3. Column number 3. I wanted to sort column number 3. It is sorting, but I want to put as a descending. See, just this is a column indication. Here there is no ascending descending characters. Here we need to mention in that argument a column reference number within the table. The sales is in column number 3. Why I'm putting minus is it will understand automatically as a descending order. It will change it to descending order. I'll change it to 2,500. Immediately it is refreshing. Now if you want to short, you can short data also with multiple in here. Column number 1. Okay, leave it. This is how the group by function will work. There are some another arguments also. I'll show you. There is one more argument, filter array. See the last argument, it is enabling filter array. How that will work? Suppose if we have some data, empty data within the tables, there are some empty values. It is coming as a 0, 0. I want to exclude it from this table. How to exclude? Using this that last argument filter array, we can ignore. From column B, there are some empty cells. We can ignore. Table 1, location not equal to empty. See, it is ignoring automatically. Suppose if you don't want to insert subtotals, you can ignore the subtotals also. Just if you want to enable only grand total, you can enable grand totals. Only grand totals. See, it is showing only grand total amount. It is not subtotaling. This is how you can use group by function effectively. Okay. The difference between group by and powered by. There is another function powered by. I'll show you how this powered by will work. Powered by. Here also the first argument it is asking row fields. Similar thing here also will take location. Or if you want to take multiple row columns, location, sales, product. Okay, we'll take this two only. Then column fields. You see, here it is additionally it is asking one extra argument column fields. Column fields I'll take date. Table date. Then values. Table sorry. Sales. Function sum only. I wanted to sum this value. See here getting coming the dates are with different formats in general format. Okay, if I change it to date format also, it's not good to see date wise. We'll summarize this one. Just use year formula. It will summarize year on year. Otherwise, we can add text. This is better. So here it is coming some empty column because here some empty rows are there. Just similar way we can use, sorry, there is that last filter argument. Until that you can apply commas. Here I'll take again location. Not equal to blank. Again that excluded. automatically you can able to see year-on-year sales. This is how pivot by will work. You can summarize, suppose instead of years, you can, if you want to add products in columns, whatever you want, you can add. Okay, nice. We completed Excel formulas. Until here, any doubts? Okay, the next topic, tally integration with the daybook and sales register and purchase registers. In my previous sessions also, we shown many times how to connect tally data to Excel. The first part, you will have to enable ODBC. Quickly, I show you where to enable ODBC. Connectivity. The first option only, here you need to enable ODBC. Then only we can able to extract data from tally to Excel through Power Query or any tools. Okay. Anybody who's tried to extract a ledger master from tally through Excel ODBC? Can you ping me through chat? Anyone is using ODBC for extracting ledger masters? Are you using tally? At least you can mention yes, sir. No, yes, no. No, also. Is my voice is audible? First of all, sorry, Stephen.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Great, great. I want some responses from audience. Are you using tally? First question. Great. Great. Okay. First thing, for to extract data from tally to Excel, there are many ways to extract. One is you can extract data from tally directly from here. This is front end export. You can use this one, front end export. But for front end export in detailed reports, it will take more time if you have larger data. That means if you have 1 lakh records, 2 lakhs records, at least 10, 20,000 records also, it will take more time to export data. Trial balance also will take some time to export. If you want to export in detailed mode. In daybook, maybe you can imagine it will take more and more time. But creating a small collection in tally, we can enable through ODBC, we can extract the data. First I'll show you how it will connect and how it will come to tally. Then I'll show you better than level 1 and level 2 how I did in that collection level. See, here is 1 year data. Currently, I'm not using 1 year because the first time, whenever you connect through ODBC, it will check and it will encrypt and decrypt. There are many processes from backend that will take minimum a minute to 2 minutes time to authenticate all the data to download Excel. Once it is connected, if there is a 1 year, 2 years data also, if you refresh, it will download in a minute or 2 minutes maximum. The first time it will take time. That is why here I am taking just 1 month time. After connecting, I'll change period and then I'll download for 1 year data. Here. Now I'm just downloading daybook for January month. Okay, I'll close all my existing Excel files. See, to connect ODBC, you can connect through using macros, or you can directly write M code and you can connect. Otherwise, you can use direct UA functions and you can connect to ODBC. I'm just currently I'm using UA function from data tab, get data, and from other sources ODBC. See here you can write this code. I'll show you how I written this code as a collection and put it in Tally. Then how I am able to extract from ODBC using this SQL code. Just will download for month. Then I'll show you. See, it's extracted for month. Don't know how many records are there. We'll see. For first time, for establishing the records, it will take some time. But anyhow, it's loaded 10,889 records, less than a minute. Suppose if you want to extract detailed report for 10,000 records, you can imagine maybe if you have experience on Tally, it will take hour or 30 minutes minimum. Sometimes more than that. That is depending on your system, RAM, processor. 10,889 records is downloaded less than a minute. It's a day book. Maybe I'll show you, for example, if you want to see any one of the record, January sales, Basapa constructions, January. Number 95, this one. So simply is extracted your day book with the debit credit values. Suppose if you want to add some more information to extract, we can add in collection level, it will download automatically. This is my sales amount, this is my CGST, SGST amount, round off TCS, and party bill amount 18,128. See 18,128 CGST, SGST. Maybe if you want to convert it to voucher mode, I'll convert it and show you as a voucher. See 18,120 my debit amount, credit amount 431, then 17,240 and round off amount and TCS. This is how your daybook will extract into Excel with detailed mode. For your just for reference, I'll change it to 1 year. No, APR 23 January. Just refresh here. Max it will take minute time and it will extract 1 year date. Yeah. For 1 year data extraction, it will take minimum minute time. Any doubts, any questions until here on Excel or Tally, or if you have any questions on Tally, you can ask here. Yes, still it is extracting. Yeah, these are all user specific reports. However you want, you can construct and you can download a faster way through Power Query. This one-time support, suppose if you have some different formats based on your business, based on your management requirement, if you have any specific format, you can just construct one-time collection, you put it into Tally and you can create an Excel template. Just refresh whenever they want that data. Refresh it, it will come in maximum minute or two. So that Excel you can download and you can give it to them. Other than this, there are standard reports in Tally. If you want to download sales reports in details, it will come in a columnar way. Again, you have to do many works that will come by row with some columns empty. You want to fill the dates and the items. There are some missing information. Again, you have to do some additional exercises. Suppose if it is a repeated activity, daily activity or weekly activity, you can create one small template like this. Just click off refresh button, minute or 2 minutes, you will get that exact data however you want as per your business requirement. You can deliver it to your respective persons. Mostly there will be black or two data. That is why it is taking a bit more than minute. We'll see. It's almost all established 95,522 records. Maximize is took 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes time to extract 95,000 records. See, this is 2 minutes is not a big job. You can wait 2 minutes. You can easily copy paste this. You can send this file to your respective persons. To extract this data in the same format, if you want to do the standard method, it will take minimum day time. I know I have experience. Maybe most of you have experience. Maybe there is some different methods. If you apply, you can easily get. But if you use standard methods, it will take minimum half day or day time to consolidate this kind of data. Okay, the next one is daybook. Anyhow, here we can able to see 92,522 records are extracted from Tally. Now I'm just closing this file. Now I'm going to extract purchase register with item wise. Before that, I'll show you how I've written small collections. Maybe you can connect with your partners, Tally partners. They will help you to create small collection. The only thing you will have to give your requirement. This is my format. Just create a collection, give it to us. Just if you request them, they will create and give it to you. You can load that into your Tally. How you will load TDLs. I'll show you. Sorry. Tally. Because if I explain this also, maybe you won't be understand. Just for your understanding, I'm just explaining. There is in default tally, there are some watches, you know, that watches I can filter using one small, this is a tally script. Just using this script, I'm just fetching required information. These are all the fields I'm just writing here. The same thing I'm fetching from Excel. Very simple here. If you see, uh, this is the purchase voucher, the master purchase voucher from tally, number one. Number two, the sub details from this voucher. These are all the informations. Date, to stock item, ledger name, party name, consignee, voucher reference number, date, party GST number. These are all common information, whatever you required. Other than this, if you want to fetch any specific ledgers, there is some other method. You can extract that ledger details also. Okay, anyhow, the first I'll show you this one. We'll extract only default ledgers. No, it is customized one as a standard. I'll show you the format. Once you see that format, you can understand. You going to understand that one whatever I'm extracting. Beyond that, if you have your own format, suppose from purchase voucher, you want to extract the columns number one, purchase date, purchase invoice number, then item details, item name, quantity, rate, all additional units, unit of measurement, amount. Then if you want to see CGST, SGST, then expense ledger wise amount, columnar wise, the first column, expense ledger 1, expense ledger 2, expense ledger 3, column wise, that amount also. That is also is possible. That is depending on your format's requirements. We can extract. Here I'll show you how I'm extracting the format, some customized format. The purchase voucher, I just selected few fields that that particular fields I'm extracting from ODBC now. Some selected fields. I'll change this. Just trying to extract for December month. Otherwise, again, it will take 2 to 3 minutes time for first time. Oh, so very quickly. Okay. Oh, 394 records are there. It came very quickly. Maybe we'll change it to at least 3 months, December to February 24. This around 1500 records are there. It is coming very quickly. Okay, these are all the fields. I'm just extracting the voucher master ID because I wanted to have control. Voucher date, voucher party name, consignee, voucher type, voucher number, invoice date, party GST number, item name, quantity, rate, and item and gross amount. Beyond that, if you want anything, we can add into that fields list. Then automatically that data will come. Clear? If I change it to 1 year also, it will come very quickly only. I don't think, it will take more time. I hope it will take less than a minute. We'll see. It's not taken more than a minute because there is less records. Purchase records, 5680 records. Okay. Similar way for sales also. Same thing, get data from other sources, ODBC. Okay, before going to that, I'll change period. December 23. Only I'm just taking December month. Here also I'm just fetching selected fields from sales register with item wise. Anyhow, you seen in daybook it's around 1 lakh records. It took less than 2 minutes and extracted. Yeah. Using this method, you will be saving more time to extract data and cleaning up data. If you extract the default reports, the more time you will have to spend on data cleaning and updating some fields, removing some fields, formats, many things you'll have to do. But here, straight away you will get data. See, from sales register also, I'm just fetching the date and party name, voucher type, voucher number, suggestion number, item name, quantity, rate, value. All those things I'm extracting. Just adding one small collection and list of fields into Tally and creating an SQL file. We can extract this data through ODBC. This is how you can extract large data from your Tally. Whenever is required for your day-to-day uses, it will help. That's it. That is the today's session. We covered Excel functions, the most dynamic functions, group by and pivot by, and AA functions. The second one, Tally integration with Power Query using ODBC with SQL request for debug extraction and sales and purchases. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. If you have any doubts and clarification, please ping us through chat. We'll clarify you. Or if you have any doubts on Tally or Tally limitations or Excel, you can ask here. We will clarify you until my knowledge. Maybe Excel is very big, you also you know. But anyhow, for our day-to-day activities, we will give you some tips. In Tally also, we implemented to many clients. We know end-to-end Tally and customizations. We will clarify you for your day-to-day activities. How you can simplify your works. Most of the time, most of the people will use the standard methods instead of using small so instead of using standard methods, you can use small tools. You will save more time. You can spend that time into another activities. Yeah, that's it. Thank you all.
So thank you, Babu. With this, we have come to an end with both of our session. If anybody have any query, they can write to us. And as we already said in the starting of our session, that this PPT will be shared with you. This recording of the session will also be shared to you. Plus, feedback form will be shared. You can write to us. Even you can give your suggestion, any topic which you want us to do, either technical part or in GST, which you want to take us. You can write to us. We will try to do the session on the same. Thank you.